Meghan Markle is always attempting to, shall we say, build relationships with very, very, very rich men.
That she's still married. I mean, this woman's going to keep trying to get elevated with the next man because that's what she wants. Because, Harry at this point doesn't even have enough money for her. And so she needs to find the man that's going to really give her what she wants financially.
What happens when a royal divorce story isn't really about love at all, but about a line item in a private agreement that suddenly gets dragged into court like it's a crown jewel? And what if the loudest bombshell isn't the gossip, but the palace quietly saying, yeah, no, we're not funding your fantasy lifestyle, and meaning it? All right, lean in, because this whole Meghan and Harry split narrative, as it's being spun online right now, isn't coming at us like a clean headline. It's coming in waves, clips, sources, podcast rants, court rumor threads, and that one friend who sends you a 9-minute TikTok with the caption, "You need to see this." So let's do what we always do. Slow it down, pick apart the timeline, separate what's officially said from what's being suggested, and then we can talk about why Princess Anne suddenly feels like the unexpected main character of this entire saga. Because if even half of what's being floated is true, the palace isn't just annoyed, they're drawing a hard line with a Sharpie. And if it's not true, then it's still revealing, because it shows how the Sussex story has turned into an international game of narrative chess, where everyone's trying to win the public. Before we get into it, treat this as commentary on allegations, speculation, and public chatter, not proven facts. The internet loves a clean villain and a clean hero. Real life is messier than that. Now, the story currently making the rounds goes like this. The luxury clause rumor that turned into a courtroom punchline. Online commentators claim that Meghan's California filing included something that sounds like it was written by a person who binge-watched billionaire Instagram reels and thought it counted as legal precedent. A supposed sovereign lifestyle accommodation provision. That's the phrase circulating. And the idea is basically Meghan allegedly expected certain ultra-luxury standards to be met inside the marriage, and when they weren't, it was used as part of the "this is why things fell apart" argument. And the rumored demands are a lot. We're talking things like constant access to diplomatic-level privileges, helicopter-ready private homes, weekly yacht-level experiences with price tags that sound like a mortgage, private jets for long flights, 5-star spa accommodation expectations. Now, let's pause right there. Even if a couple signs a private agreement with lifestyle expectations, courts do not usually treat "I expected yachts" the same way they treat custody, assets, support, or safety. A judge is not sitting there like, yes, Your Honor, the yacht clause is compelling. And according to the chatter, that's exactly what happened. The court allegedly tossed that portion like it was a bad joke, describing it as incompatible with how U.S. family law works and basically absurd. Again, that's the rumor version being repeated online. But the effect of the rumor is what matters, because it set up the next move, the palace jumping in. Princess Anne, the "enough already" energy nobody saw coming. Here's where Princess Anne enters the story like she's walking into a messy room, turning the lights on and saying, "Right, who did this?" The narrative says the Royal Communications Office issued a sharp statement dated January 31st, 2026, and this is being framed as the monarchy's first official word on the split. And in the version circulating, Anne's message isn't emotional, it isn't personal, it's institutional. Basically, whatever private expectations exist between two adults is not a royal obligation. Don't put that on the crown. That's the key theme, because the palace's nightmare scenario is always the same. People leaving the institution, monetizing the association, and then trying to imply the institution owes them ongoing status, access, or money. And if the internet believes Meghan tried to frame luxury travel and elite treatment as something the royal side failed to provide, then Anne's response makes total sense. She would want to shut that down instantly, not with insults, not with drama, with a simple, brutal boundary. The monarchy is not your lifestyle sponsor. And honestly, if you've watched Anne for years, this tracks. She's not the vibes and forgiveness royal. She's the duty, discipline, and receipts royal. Now, the podcast hits, the timing that set the whole thing on fire. Now here's where things get extra chaotic, because the online story says that right as the court allegedly rejected the luxury clause, January 30th, 2026, a high-profile podcast drops on January 31st, 2026, virals fast, and turns the whole narrative into something bigger than a divorce. The claim being floated is that Jordan Peterson released an episode, sometimes labeled The Mirage of Virtue, and it exploded, pulling in millions of listens quickly. And what did it do, supposedly? It framed Meghan not just as a celebrity in conflict with the monarchy, but as a symbolic figure. The argument goes that her public branding, victimhood, feminist framing, anti-establishment messaging, clashes with alleged behind-the-scenes networks and elite social climbing. Now, I'm not here to tell you what to think about anyone's ideology. I'm telling you what the internet is doing with this story. It's turning the Sussex divorce into a morality play. And when the public starts seeing a story as a morality play, facts become optional. That's when narratives become weapons. The Golden Mirage Yacht allegations, glossy, dramatic, and very unverified. This is the part that's being repeated the most because it's cinematic. The claim says that long before Harry, back around 2009 to 2011, Meghan was allegedly linked to ultra-luxury yacht events in the Persian Gulf, including a specific yacht name that keeps being repeated, Golden Mirage. And the way this rumor is packaged is very specific. Private jets, high net worth guest lists, strict NDAs, soft diplomacy-style galas with entertainment world connections. Let me translate what the internet wants you to picture. A young actress moving through elite circles, networking with powerful people, and using glamorous events as career leverage. Not illegal, not a crime, but, according to the narrative, potentially hypocritical compared to later public positioning. That's the angle. That's the gotcha. But here's the truth. Allegations like this are easy to dramatize, hard to prove, and even harder to interpret fairly without real documentation. A person resembling someone in a photo is not confirmation. Deleted Instagram lore is not a court record. A former staffer said could be real or could be fan fiction with better punctuation. So if you're watching this story unfold, the smart move is to treat it like unverified internet dossier material unless something credible and verifiable backs it up.
This is where the monarchy's response, again as described in the script you gave, gets interesting. The alleged approach isn't attack Meghan, it's protect the institution. So even while these yacht stories swirl, the palace line is described as something like, no royals were involved, no official UK delegation was involved, no crown funding was involved, don't associate private luxury with royal diplomacy. The monarchy's money comes from structured, audited streams, not random private indulgence. That's the underlying message. Stop laundering private celebrity behavior through royal symbolism. Because the monarchy knows public perception is lazy. People hear royal and assume taxpayer money. They hear palace and assume unlimited privilege. And in a cost of living climate, that optics problem is radioactive. So Anne's supposed emphasis on transparency, restraint, self-sufficiency is not just moral language, it's crisis management language. It's basically, we are not funding this, we are not responsible for this, and we are not going to be dragged into it. And now the big question, what happens to Harry? This is the part that makes royal watchers sit up. because the story isn't just Meghan and Harry are splitting. The bigger storyline being pushed is Harry being cut off permanently, or is there a path back without her? And that's where you see all the alleged reintegration conditions being floated. Financial disentanglement from brand ventures, legal clarity around titles and representation, a formal pledge to stop attacking the institution, probation-style boundaries if he's ever allowed near working royal life again. Whether that's real or exaggerated, the concept makes sense. If Harry ever returns in any official capacity, the palace would demand control over risk. Because the past few years have been basically interview, memoir, docuseries, leaks, counter-leaks, more leaks, and then a surprise source who leaks about the leak. It's like watching two people argue, except the argument is syndicated globally and monetized. So if the palace is serious about ending the half-in, half-out vibe forever, the play is simple. Symbolic closure. No more ambiguous bios, no more soft implication of royal backing, no more royal-adjacent marketing. And if you think that sounds harsh, look at it from their point of view. They're not just managing a family, they're managing a brand older than modern media itself. They treat reputational risk like national infrastructure. Now the media chessboard, Oprah, Netflix, and the hunger for the next interview. Now this is where it gets darkly funny, because everyone acts shocked that media companies want access, but the hunger is obvious. If there's even a whisper of a major US interview after a divorce filing, platforms start circling like it's Black Friday. And the script suggests the same idea, that certain media players may keep a foot in the door waiting for the next chapter, because divorce content sells. Which, by the way, is bleak. Imagine your marriage collapsing, and you can literally hear the executives sharpening pencils. So if Meghan stays silent, people will say she's plotting. If Harry stays silent, people will say he's being controlled. If either speaks, people will call it a money grab. It's a trap either way. That's why the palace's strategy is usually silence until it isn't. And Princess Anne allegedly choosing to speak, even indirectly, signals one thing. They think the ambiguity is now more dangerous than the noise. So why is Anne's moral boundary message hitting so hard? Here's what makes this story stick, regardless of which parts are true. It's not really about yachts, it's not really about jets, it's about a deeper clash between two worldviews. One, celebrity logic. Visibility is power, narrative is currency, attention can be monetized. Two, monarchy logic. Restraint is power, discipline is legitimacy, and you do not outsource the institution's meaning to the internet. So when Anne's line, as your script frames it, becomes "a royal name is not a mask for profit," that's not a petty jab, that's a doctrine. And honestly, it's kind of the only move they have left, because if they don't draw lines, then every future royal conflict becomes a business opportunity. And then the monarchy becomes a content farm. And yes, I know some people would argue that's already happening. But there's a difference between tabloids speculating and a legal filing implying obligation. That's why the luxury clause story, real or exaggerated, matters. It's a symbolic attempt to turn royal proximity into enforceable lifestyle expectation. And the palace is basically saying, absolutely not. And now we get to the final escalation teased in your script. Princess Anne hosting a formal press moment in early February 2026 at Marlborough House to outline Harry's constitutional role and lay out boundaries. If that happens in any form, it's a big deal, because modern royals don't love press conferences. They prefer controlled statements, briefings, carefully worded lines, sources close to. A direct event would signal they want to stop the drip-feed chaos and replace it with one clean institutional message. And that message would likely be, Harry is family, but not a working royal. The Crown's finances are not a personal safety net. The institution will challenge misleading commercial use of royal association. Leaving means leaving, not leaving but still using the shine. And if you think that sounds harsh, look at it from their point of view. They're not just managing a family, they're managing a brand older than modern media itself. They treat reputational risk like national infrastructure. Now, the so-called press conference, the modern royal warning shot. Now here's what makes this story stick, regardless of which parts are true. It's not really about yachts, it's not really about jets, it's about a deeper clash between two worldviews. One, celebrity logic. Visibility is power, narrative is currency, attention can be monetized. Two, monarchy logic. Restraint is power, discipline is legitimacy, and you do not outsource the institution's meaning to the internet. So when Anne's line, as your script frames it, becomes "a royal name is not a mask for profit," that's not a petty jab, that's a doctrine. And honestly, it's kind of the only move they have left, because if they don't draw lines, then every future royal conflict becomes a business opportunity. And then the monarchy becomes a content farm. And yes, I know some people would argue that's already happening, but there's a difference between tabloids speculating and a legal filing implying obligation. That's why the luxury clause story, real or exaggerated, matters. It's a symbolic attempt to turn royal proximity into enforceable lifestyle expectation. And the palace is basically saying, absolutely not. And now we get to the final escalation teased in your script. Princess Anne hosting a formal press moment in early February 2026 at Marlborough House to outline Harry's constitutional role and lay out boundaries. If that happens in any form, it's a big deal, because modern royals don't love press conferences. They prefer controlled statements, briefings, carefully worded lines, sources close to. A direct event would signal they want to stop the drip-feed chaos and replace it with one clean institutional message. And that message would likely be, Harry is family, but not a working royal. The Crown's finances are not a personal safety net. The institution will challenge misleading commercial use of royal association. Leaving means leaving, not leaving but still using the shine. And if you think that sounds harsh, look at it from their point of view. They're not just managing a family, they're managing a brand older than modern media itself. They treat reputational risk like national infrastructure. Now the so-called press conference, the modern royal warning shot. Now here's what makes this story stick, regardless of which parts are true. It's not really about yachts, it's not really about jets, it's about a deeper clash between two worldviews. One, celebrity logic. Visibility is power, narrative is currency, attention can be monetized. Two, monarchy logic. Restraint is power, discipline is legitimacy, and you do not outsource the institution's meaning to the internet. So when Anne's line, as your script frames it, becomes "a royal name is not a mask for profit," that's not a petty jab, that's a doctrine. And honestly, it's kind of the only move they have left, because if they don't draw lines, then every future royal conflict becomes a business opportunity. And then the monarchy becomes a content farm. And yes, I know some people would argue that's already happening, but there's a difference between tabloids speculating and a legal filing implying obligation. That's why the luxury clause story, real or exaggerated, matters. It's a symbolic attempt to turn royal